Hello everybody, I'm Ryan Matthew Harker and this is the Pocket Dimension. I was having kind of a hard time getting psyched up to do this video because I just really wasn't feeling like doing a video, but then I told myself, well, you know, it doesn't matter whether you are feeling it or not, you just gotta get on the horse and ride. So here we are. Now I've got two other videos out. One that covered the first issue of the series, and another one that covered the issue number 2 and number 3. And so I actually had all 3 issues, the first 3 issues, 4 of them actually, because I got number 1A and 1B, which is the first issue with a cover by Rob Liefeld, and the first issue with another cover by Rob Liefeld, and then you put them together. One's Badrock, one's Violator, and they create kind of a 2-page spread. But anyway, I had those, and I didn't have issue number 4, and so I actually had to go on the eBay and order issue number 4, which I just got this weekend, and so now I am sitting down and doing this video. And by the way, not feeling like doing this video has nothing to do with this book or the quality of this book. It's just my personal not wanting to put myself out tonight for some reason. So, but I'm doing it anyway. Here we are. So, Rob Liefeld has been doing some really good covers on this series. I mean, for the most part. I mean, they're not. I will say. Issue 1A and 1B were really cool the way they went together. I really enjoyed that, and he did a good job with the art. Issue number 2 was, decent in its own right. Had hot angel chicks, and can't go wrong with that. Or maybe you can, but he didn't go wrong with that cover. And then issue number 3 was a shot of Badrock, and really I just thought that was a little bit disjointed. It was just a weird shot. It looked like it should have been either a way bigger image showing more around the periphery, or or a smaller image showing more around the periphery. Either way, it was just like a snapshot, like zoomed in too close. It was like, let's just show this much of the shot and leave you wanting more. And but now we got issue number 4 here, and I really like this cover. It's very cool, a lot of detail, a lot of Rob lines, which when he does it, he does it well. Or when he does it well, he does it really well. And I think he does it really well with this one. His buddy and mentor, at Marvel and coming into Image, was Todd McFarlane. And Todd McFarlane, he does all the line work and the excessive lines, I think, better than almost anybody. But Rob, when he's got his got himself fired up, he's doing it pretty good, and I like this cover for that. I really enjoy how it's issue number 4, and they hid the logo Violator Vs Badrock behind the art, which is great because we didn't need that blocking the art. We know it's Violator Vs Badrock, and we can tell that just by what we can see of the logo there. And so overall solid A- on this cover. I'm not really sure what could have been done better, but if I were grading this, I just gave it an A-, so I guess I am grading it. Anyway, we'll open this thing up, and again, we're written by Alan Moore. He was a writer for this 4-issue miniseries. And you could almost call it a team up. It's not really a team up. It's Violator versus Badrock, and really they are not really liking each other at all through the story. So not much of a team up per se, but they kind of, you know, have some of the same foes that they're fighting with, being the Philabic brothers. I think I said that right, Philabic. The Violators, Hellish Hellspawn brothers, and there was the Vaporizer, the Vandalizer, the Vindicator. Is there another one? And then the Violator. Is there only 4 of them? Anyway, so penciler is Brian Denham. And, you know, I didn't really think his art was too terrible the last 3 issues of this. I just read through this one, and there's, you know, when he's on, but like there was a few times where he wasn't really on. You know, like maybe he was like feeling the rush, you know, deadlines, whatever. But you know, there's a few spots, and I'll point them out as we go along, where I'm just like, you know, I just wasn't feeling it. Anchors with Jonathan Seaball, not sure how to pronounce his last name, but and Danny Miki. Danny Miki, you know, was the extreme inker, and you know, honestly, beyond extreme and beyond, because I mean, he did a lot of inking and Spawn too, and honestly, his inks over Greg Capullo's Spawn art were, you know, second to only Todd McFarlane, because the only person who can ink Spawn better than, you know, Danny Miki is Todd McFarlane, you know, the creator of Spawn. So yeah, you know, the inks are they're what they should be. But and then this is where I'm kind of also really disappointed in this issue. Was we've got colors and color separations by Extreme Colors. Extreme Colors, I mean, that could be anybody doing the coloring at this point. I'm going to jump all the way to the back real quick, because they have a little thing here, Extreme Scene, with profile Donald Skinner, who, you know, how he got into comics. I knew Danny Miki. He told me that Extreme was hiring computer colorists, so I went and bought a computer, practiced a lot, and was hired. Now I'm in charge of the whole computer department. So I'm blaming the poor color on Donald Skinner. Because, you know, honestly, the color in the last several issues, I don't have them sitting with me, so I can't pull them up to double check, but you know, the colors were done by colorists that I know to be just good colorists, and I really, well, the first 2 issues I think was Flo Valencia or something. Damn it, I can't remember. Anyway, but she did a really good job. I think it's she did a really good job on those colors. I like them a lot. And then the colors on the 3rd issue were, I'm using my phone to record this, so I can't just pop on the Google and check it out. It was I can't remember. I'll throw it in the description, who the colorists were throughout all the issues. But regardless, another great colorist. I really liked it, and you know, these color separations by Extreme Colors, just they don't do it for me as well. It's like, you know, you look at it and it's like, it seems like they put the color in all the right places, but you know, and maybe it's the, you know, Extreme Colors, so you get, you know, different people working on the project, but you know, there's places where it falls down, and I just, you know, don't like it. So anyway, so what's happened in the story is Badrock, he's teamed up with these scientists at this place called the Institute, and they capture the Violator, hoping to power this machine that will like space warp, displace them to hell, so that they can study hell. And since they have the Violator custody. It attracts the attention of this angel, and she comes in and you know, to take down the Violator, or, you know, take down like the demon, you know, because she's an angel, you know, that's what they do. And Violator ends up tricking her into thinking that Badrock is the demon. She attacks Badrock. Badrock, you know, gets knocked out, and then Violator rips her heart out, and well, she ends up going and, if I remember correctly, she just like puts her hands on these platforms here, which ends up powering the machine. So like, for whatever reason, she powers the machine. I'm pretty sure she made the decision to do that. Nobody forced her hands onto it. So, but you know, the machine's, you know, chowing down on her angelic energy, and you know, it's just, you know, sucking her dry. She's withering down to nothing. It says, making matters worse, the dead angel that's powering the warp is almost down to dust. You know, so anyway, Sally, or Dr. McAllister, she's the scientist that Badrock's teamed up with, or well, Youngblood has placed him on security detail at the Institute for the project, and she's gone, you know, joyriding through hell, you know, because she's a scientist and she wants to study hell for whatever reason. You know, I think that could be interesting, but also super scary, and I don't really feel the need to do that myself. But, you know, apparently Sally McAllister is all about it, wants to see some demons up close, maybe even take some home and, you know, put them under the scalpel. So Badrock gets this badass new costume, and he finally is like, oh, I'm gonna go put on this costume because I might not get another chance to make it, and you know, it just sort of makes me feel cool. So he throws it on, and boom, yeah, it doesn't look too bad. I mean, it's got the weird kind of antennae things going on there. It's like, you know, it looks really good here when I think Liefeld does it, and it's got the goggles and stuff, which you never see him actually wearing the goggles. I might have to do a picture just for the hell of it with him actually wearing the goggles. But yeah, you know, I really like this picture of it with the shoulder pads. I think Liefeld does that pretty cool there. And I think, you know, over here, there's a little too blocky and square. Denim he doesn't get it together as much. And I think I said, you know, Denim did really good with the art, you know, and like this first page here, I mean, you know, the art it does the job. So, but then, you know, you come here, and I mean, it still seems like it's doing the job. I actually kind of like the shot right here, you know, does a good job with the shrinking and the you know, foreshortening. You know, maybe this is why I didn't want to do the video tonight, because my mind is just not really in the right place. But anyway, we're going to keep on moving here. This is part of what I don't like with what he's doing with the art is, you know, he tries to do the hyperline detailing like you know, either Liefeld or McFarlane would do, and he gets into it, but he doesn't quite pull it off. Like, I mean, like the blotchy ink spots, and maybe, you know, maybe that's the inker, maybe that's Jonathan Seaball, you know, maybe that's him getting into that. But like, you know, when Todd McFarlane would draw Violator, you know, you would see all the little like sores and like, you know, bumps and kind of like, you know, psoriasis of Violator. And you know, yeah, I mean, there was like the shading and the shadowing, but you know, it wasn't just this blotchy mess here. Yeah, you know, and the same thing with the horns. You know, he gets into it a little bit, but it's like almost like he doesn't quite put the effort in. You know, he gets halfway and then just goes, oh, good enough. So Yep, these 2 pages, this is what I was thinking to myself when I was reading this, like, this right here, just a bunch of blotchiness, and I think that might be Sabal again, or just blotchiness, just blotchy blacks. I don't like it. I mean, it's like the art is good, and it could be better if the inker had, brought it home, which I just don't really think they did. The detail is just not quite there the way it was in the last couple issues. But anyway, so get back to the story. Badrock decides he needs to go after Sally McAllister because she's out, trying to find demons to, make friends with. And so he takes this orb with him because this thing is supposedly it's the dimension guidance unit. So like that sphere is what's going to home back in on our reality to bring the Institute home from hell. And so he takes it with him because he knows the Violator is wanting to get back to Earth, and he's hoping to draw him and by proxy his brothers out of the Institute so that they stay in hell when that actually happens. And so and it works because here comes the Violator, traipsing after him. You get here. I think this probably was a Danny Miki page because, it's just the inks seem cleaner. They seem crisper. All the little details and stuff. The line work is it's better. I think Danny Miki is a good artist or a good inker because he is true to the pencils a lot of the times though, and this is kind of where Brian Denham's pencil work falls down a little bit. Is like right here, like I get that that's like a pulled back shot, and we're looking at the Flabaic brothers from afar, but it's just not a lot of detail in them. It could have been done a little bit better, even with the backgrounds. I mean, these guys are about the same size as she is right here, and even this picture I think is a little more cleaner than these. They're just sketchier, scratched out, So here's Dr. McAllister, Sally McAllister, and she's, looking out over the hellscape, and she is super stoked on it. She's like, Dateline, hell. This is Dr. Sally McAllister reporting. The atmosphere here has an unpleasant smell, but it is breathable. The landscape seems mostly volcanic, but with some disturbingly organic touches. There are a staggering variety of life forms evident from crystal spiders to robot angels. Having the opportunity to explore and collect specimens is utterly breathtaking. And then, of course, she gets called out by somebody behind her. She whips her head. And here are some crazy demons out to get her. And they are talking about her being punny because she's like, oh, specimens. The irony was, her first irony was to consider herself a specimen collector while we consider her a specimen. While her second was to refer to the experience as breathtaking, little knowing that we intend to skin her for her pelt. Pretty funny stuff, really. Demons collecting humans who are collecting demons. It's like, this 2-page spread here, gets a little on the weak side with the smaller panels, but like I really enjoyed this shot right here. And again, I feel like this may be Danny Miki doing the inks because, again, kind of cleaner ink style, like the line thickness, like it feels more Danny to me. You know, if he ever sees this video, maybe he could, you know, throw a shout out in the comments and be like, oh yeah, I totally did that page, or nope, Ryan, you're fucking stupid, that was not me. But yeah, no, I like that shot. Like, I think it turned out really good there. This is where it kind of falls down a little bit, and like where I'm almost kind of disappointed in the inker, because like this happens a lot where the whites of the eyes, you know, like just gets, can you see that? Like she's got no pupils or anything in her eyes, no irises, no nothing, just blank eyes. It's like, I get it, it's a small picture, she's, you know, somewhat at a distance, but you know, like just put a little dot in there, you know, like she's a human being, she's not super powered, you know, like she's not Storm, she doesn't need you know, pure blank eyes. So anyway, these guys are out together, they're gonna skin her, and then boom, here comes Badrock, and this is a pretty sweet shot. I like this. But this is where, again, where I feel like there's some inconsistencies in Denham's pencils. I mean, what is up with the shot of her face? Like, I don't know if that comes through on the camera as good as it does in real life, but like, I don't know, there's just something about her features there that don't really make sense to me. They kind of are weird. And anyway, but I do like this shot of Badrock here. This is pretty sweet, and the flames, the fires of hell, like coming up around him. And you know, again, we'll go back to here, you know, Liefeld's shoulder pads. I kind of like that design better, but boom, all of a sudden these big old ghost trap freaking shoulder pads make sense, because you know, hey, they shoot some rockets or something. Kind of cool, you know. Only a big old fucker like Badrock could you know, wear some shoulder pads capable of launching missiles. So, you know, not bad. Grenades hanging from his grenade belt. Yeah, nope. I do like this. Again, I think it's Danny Miki, because his you know, line work, his ink work is just so much cleaner, you know. And you know, here we go. This again is another good shot. I like this. They're coming, you know, coming after. Here's Badrock, and here's one of the demons, and she McAllister shouts, "Mr. Rock, behind you!" And boom, punches behind him, shatters the dude's face, his helmet. Some weird squiddy, shrimpy looking dude. And Badrock says, "Geez, this junk inside his helmet is freezing. It's like liquid nitrogen or something." You know, which is kind of funny, because they're in hell, you know, like they got air conditioning. You would need it in hell, right? So, but yeah, here we go again. Now I think we get back to Cyball or Seaball's inks, because I don't know, there's just something about the feel of them that is different. And it, you know, and maybe like what I call Brian Denham dropping the ball is really just like the inker not, you know, picking, like cleaning up his pencils as well or something, because you know, yeah, these are definitely, you know, a different feel to these two pages than the previous pages. You know, I mean, look how dynamic and how cool these pages are. I mean, these are like pretty sweet, even with the weirdness, you know. Like, I like these two pages, and you know, then you get to these ones, and it's you know, like they could be cool. Like, I mean, the shot with all the shadowing and stuff on Badrock and him holding the, you know, orb, and you know, that could be a really cool shot, but just something about it doesn't carry through. It doesn't, you know. Anyway, and here we go. This is what I'm talking about again. Can you see that in the picture there? You know, her eyes are dead blank. You know, again, she's not a mutant. She's not freaking Storm. She's not Wolverine with his mask on. Like, she is a human being. Why doesn't she have any pupils or irises or anything? You know, there's got to be some consistency in the art. You know, like, people are people, superheroes are superheroes, demons are demons, whatever. You know, like, you know, Badrock's got the blank eyes. He's a weird rock dude. You know, let him have his blank eyes throughout the story. Cool. You know, this bitch is a fucking human being. You know, why doesn't she have, you know, why does she have blank eyes? It doesn't make any sense. So, anyway, we got, you know, this shot right here at Badrock. Again, this could have been a really sweet shot, and it is. It's cool, but I just don't really feel like, you know, it just doesn't have the same power to it. So, anyway, they're getting ready. She's yelling at him because he brought the guidance spear. She's like, what the heck, you know, Violator. He's like, I wanted to lure them out. And, you know, she's like, why would you endanger the entire project for me? And he's like, well, I don't know. Maybe I thought you'd feel grateful or something. But, you know, Badrock's got a crush on her. And, you know, so, and of course his plan works because, boom, here comes the Violator. And, you know, here we go. This isn't too bad of a picture here. Again, I think, did we change anchors? I kind of feel like maybe we did. Because it's just, I mean, again, it's like, I don't feel like this page got a little generic. Again, she doesn't have pupils in her eyes, but here she's got pupils and irises, you know, so it's like, what the heck? Pupils and irises. You know, but like, you know, the detail, I was talking about the details, and Danny Meeke being like, you know, someone who works on the Spawn comic book. You know, he's used to drawing Spawn and, you know, his associates, Violator being one of the primary ones. And so, like, I feel like that gets brought a lot more with the detail. And, you know, like, again, the psoriasis, the scaliness of Violator's skin here, you know, it's like it comes out a little more. It's not just like a bunch of blotchy black, you know, like right here you kind of get some of that blotchy black though. I mean, so I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is C-ball on this page, and maybe he was conferring with Danny more, but you know, like, you get into it, like, the Violator, I feel like, is strong in this picture. That's a good picture of him. But then Badrock, not as much. Like, the detail, like, I feel like the color is just trying to pick it up more, you know, with the shading and the tones of the color. You know, but then you get into, like, his leg here. It's got a lot of good rendering. I don't know. And then we flip the page here, and this is definitely Danny doing this, because, I mean, look at this shot of the Violator. This is like something right out of Spawn right here with the rendering, and, you know, that's a great picture, even with all the Fleabag brothers. Good stuff. This is good stuff. And look, Dr. McAllister has her freaking pupils and irises. And then boom, we jump to the next page, and all of a sudden, no, she doesn't. The consistency, I don't know. It's the little details like that. It's like, I really just want to have a little bit of consistency throughout the book. You know, I don't want to feel like, you know, either the art or the story is disjointed in any way, and maybe that's just my, you know, my OCD. But you know, am I the only one? You know, let me know. So, great pictures here. Like this, even this panel, this is good panel. And then jump over here, not so good. And here, definitely not so good. And then here's a little better, but kind of flat. But it's like put a lot of effort into Badrock here, not so much, and then even less. So, and this page, I like this page. This is a good page right here. And pupils and irises. You know, the colors really picked it up here, so whoever got assigned this page really put their all into it. I mean, the shading and the tones of the skin tones, like, good stuff, good stuff. And so anyway, Violator's fighting with his brothers, and, you know, they're like, let's get out of here while they're distracted, and they make it back to the Institute, and, you know, boom, the Violator's like, hey, nope, you ain't leaving without me. You know, again, this is like not a bad 2-page spread. And you know, they're getting really extreme here. I mean, how many 2-page spreads is this? Even though, you know, traditional 2-page spread would be like, you know, a full 2 pages, but you know, these are still 2-page spreads with, you know, panels interspersed. You know, still, this is a good one, but that's what. Let's count them real quick, just for the heck of it. We got 1, 2, 3. Is it like every other page? 4. So there's 4 so far. You know, that's quite a few for a single book. But, you know, this is not a bad 2-page spread. I like this a lot, actually. You know, like the Violator coming over top of Badrock. Badrock's trying to throw that behind himself punch again. Not quite connecting like it did with the shrimp thing earlier. But he grabs up his shock stick and he's like, bazap. Blasts him out of the Institute, and all of a sudden the air is starting to shimmer. What's happening? At a guess, I'd say that the Angel's power finally ran out. We're returning to Earth. And the Violator's like, no, you can't leave me here. What if I get adversely affected by my environment? What if I turn antisocial? It's gonna be your fault. Yeah, here. And so he's stuck there. And that's the end of it. That's the end of the story. Badrock tries to ask her out, but can't because there is a admonisher reference, and I don't know much about the admonisher, but apparently it was a big deal in the Violator miniseries. So, yep, that's the end of the story. And now we got ads, Glory, Evangeline, Violator Badrock. They got an ad. Oh, for the trade paperback of Violator Badrock, and they were like, dude, you know, this book, we just finished the 4th book of the series, like, let's push this trade paperback, we're collecting them. So they're like putting that ad out there already. And then you know, other channels have talked about how great this picture is, and you know, it's not too bad. Is that, I don't see a picture, a signature on it, and I mean, it could be Stephen Platt, but it could also be Rob Liefeld. I feel like this might be Rob Liefeld for this picture, and like, it's pretty good because I mean, Stephen Platt is usually more rounded and like even more hyperlined, so this has got to be, yeah, I mean, look at that face right there. That's totally Rob Liefeld. So that's the Liefeld picture. And it's a good shot. I like that. I'm not don't have a lot going on with either of these characters, but you know, I always liked Stephen Platt's Prophet. And then more Badrock crossovers with Grifter this time, Badrock Grifter, and then more Berserk and Bloodpool ads, which we've seen in every issue of this, and then yeah, the extreme scene, which Donald Skinner. So I'm assuming he oversaw, if not did, a lot of the coloring in this book. And then Maxi Mage, Robert Norton just did a video of the first issue of this, and apparently he says it really sucks. And I watched the video, and I don't know, it's hard for me to be objective when it comes to like media, because honestly the stuff that people say sucks is usually the stuff I like the most, whether it's like movies or comics or books. Like it's like the more B, the better I like it. And what I saw of the book, like, yeah, the story just wasn't really holding up, but hey, what can I say? Without actually reading it, I don't know. And yeah, that's it. So thank you for joining me tonight at the Pocket Dimension. You can buy my comics and novels at Amazon. If you search Ryan Matthew Harker, you'll pull them up. I'm an author as well as a comic book creator. You can also buy them at the Pocket Dimension store, which is the Pocket Dimension store. It'd be my Square store. It's the Pocket Dimension store.square.site. And if you spell that out, the Pocket Dimension store all has hyphens in between it, so it's the pocket dimension store, and then period square period site. So the Pocket Dimension store.square.site, and that's the pocket dimension store.square.site. Anyway, that's a lot to remember, but I'm confident you can get there and help support me as an indie author and illustrator. And I just like to say, before I let you go, that create more comics, read more comics, and turn more people onto comics. Thank you. Have a great one.